Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the video on Genshin Impact. My name is Ventus. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to give you an updated Lisa guide for the best DPS damage, including what artifacts to run, the set I found to be the best, as well as some alternatives, the best weapons, as well as teams. But before I get into the guide, I want to invite you guys to subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on if you like Genshin Impact videos and want to keep up to date with the latest news and information. After you're done with this video, head on down to the description for links to more guides to commonly used and popular Genshin Impact characters. And as always, if you are a Genshin Impact pro and you're not here because you need a guide but want to criticize and ridicule a video in the comments, thank you so much in advance for the view, your watch time, and free engagement. All of these things help my video to grow. Let's get right into it. Alright, so firstly, let's talk about which catalyst works well with Lisa. The main one I use is the Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds because, in my opinion, its ability, Boundless Blessing, was made specifically for Lisa. Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds is a 5-star catalyst which I only have at level 60, but max refined. I got it from a bunch of lucky wishes back when I was a whale. Boundless Blessing increases movement speed by 10%, and when in battle, you gain a 16% elemental damage bonus every 4 seconds with a max of 4 stacks, which adds up to be 64% extra elemental damage if I'm understanding the definition correctly, and forgive me if I'm not. This bonus lasts until the character leaves the field. Now, Lisa is a character that can be used both ways. Bring her out and affect your enemies with Electrode using her elemental skill, basic or charged attacks, and then switch, or you can leave her out if you're facing an enemy that doesn't like Electrode damage too much. Her normals deal a lot of damage when properly equipped, and her charged attack is pretty devastating. So whenever I use her on my team, she's either backup DPS or the main DPS because of the Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds. So basically, with this catalyst, the longer she is out, the more damage she can do, and with Lisa, you really can leave her out to deal damage. The fact that her elemental skill, Violet Arc, is one that has so much functionality really makes me think that when they created this character, they had a certain playstyle in mind. With Violet Arc, you can tap it out to shoot out orbs of lightning called homing lightning orbs. Each orb hit applies a stack to a max of 3 stacks. If you hold the skill instead of tapping it, Lisa raises a hand to the sky, becoming harder to interrupt, so she can call down lightning from the sky like a true daughter of the White Tower. That's a Wheel of Time reference. If you know, then you know. The more stacks a target has, the more damage they will take from Violet Arc. The hold version of the skill has 2 uses. Holding it for an even longer duration increases the damage even more, and doing this skill while Lisa's burst is active further increases the damage. This tells me that she is meant to be out on the field for an extended period of time. Not simply as a character to switch in and out, but like I said, she's great in that regard as well. So for that reason, I believe the Lost Prayer of the Sacred Winds is perfect for her. Now, if you don't have this catalyst, it's okay. Here are some others you can use instead. The Map of Mare is second on my list of catalysts to use for Lisa. Lisa scales off of Elemental Mastery, so it makes sense to use weapons and artifacts that boost her Elemental Mastery stat. The Map of Mare is one of the catalysts that you can craft at the weaponsmith with the right materials, 50 crystal chunks, 50 white iron chunks, as well as the Northlander catalyst Billet or Billet. It's a 4-star weapon with Elemental Mastery as the main stat. And since you can craft it, you can get higher refinements for it, which is a major advantage over some of the other weapons that you wish for because you might not be able to refine those due to Genshin Impact's amazing wish system. This book has an ability called Infusion Scroll, which states, triggering an elemental reaction grants an 8% elemental damage bonus for 10 seconds, max 2 stacks. The 8% will go up by 2% should you choose to refine this weapon, and if I wasn't using the Lost Prayer, I would most certainly use this as Lisa's catalyst. And then we have the Widsith, and forgive me here, my Widsith is just low level because once I got a better catalyst, I just stopped using it. This is another wished for catalyst that has a substat of crit damage. Now, if I've learned anything in this game since playing it, it's that crit rate and crit damage, along with elemental reaction, pretty much dictate how much damage you are going to do. I'm going to talk about artifacts in just a minute, but right here is good to note that if you have the right circlet for Lisa, one that has a main stat of crit rate or crit damage, this catalyst would be ideal. It has an ability called Debut, which states that when a character takes the field, they will gain a random theme song for 10 seconds. This is a buff that will either raise attack, elemental damage, or elemental mastery. All three of these things are amazing for dealing out extra damage. Again, back in my whale days, I received this book like 30 times, so I refined it to the max. It's fantastic, but only if you have the crit rate to go along with it.
Try not to enjoy this too much. Blitz.
And just briefly, I'd like to mention Sacrificial Fragments as well, only because it does have a substat of Elemental Mastery and because of its ability Composed, which reads, after damaging an opponent with an elemental skill, the skill has a chance to end its own cooldown. Lisa's main damage comes from her elemental skill, the Violet Arc, and after you use the whole version of the skill to deal damage, it will go on a lengthy cooldown. So if Lisa is your main damage dealer, it might not be a bad idea to use this weapon. Just be sure that you use Lisa's charge attack to apply stacks instead of using her elemental skill. If you have none of the other catalysts I spoke about, this one is great, if only for the boost to elemental mastery.
You're in for a little shock. You've been a naughty boy.
Alright, so let's get into the artifact sets to run. Now, there are a lot of options here. I know some YouTubers will tell you that there's only one artifact build that's the best for any given character. There's probably at least one person in the comments of this video right now telling you that some of this information is wrong or bad because it doesn't work for them or it's not the best, and I'm using air quotes. But being a free-to-play Genshin Impact player or someone who can spend a whole lot of money on the game, you probably won't be able to run the absolute best sets right away. So I'm here to give you what I believe is the best, as well as what also works just as well, or maybe a little bit below the best, but still hits hard. So let's start off with the basic set, and which will be the most easy to obtain, and that's the Thundering Fury set with an Electro Damage Cup and a Crit Damage Circlet. Now, unfortunately for me, for the past 5 days, I've been grinding the domain where the Thundering Fury set drops, the Midsummer Courtyard, searching for a Crit Damage Circlet or an Electro Damage Cup, but RNG hates me to my core and I haven't found either. What I did come across though was a 5-star crit rate circlet, which works just as well. Probably better in my case because a lot of the artifacts I did end up with for this updated guide have crit damage as a substat, raising Lisa's crit damage stat above normal levels. Now, when it comes to crit rate and damage, you ideally want the numbers to be fairly even, but I'd say as long as your crit rate is above 50%, you're okay. Not the best for sure, but okay. So when you are looking out for artifacts, keep ones that say crit damage, crit rate, and elemental mastery for substats when it comes to Lisa. Attack stats are good too. The key thing to be on the lookout for is that Electro Damage Cup. This cup is crucial to Lisa's damage output, and it doesn't even need to be in the same set as the Thundering Fury as long as your other 4 pieces are Thundering Fury if you want to go for the 4-piece set bonus. The Thundering Fury 2-piece set bonus increases electro damage by 15%, and the 4-piece set increases damage caused by Overloaded, Electro Charged, and Superconduct by 40%. Triggering an elemental reaction with the 4-piece set equipped decreases elemental skill cooldown by 1 second. So clearly, after reading this set, they really had Lisa in mind because she, like I said earlier, scales off of Elemental Mastery, which is the number you want the highest when causing elemental reactions with other characters. A little bit later in this video, I'll talk about teams for Lisa, but for now, when you have her on your team, you'll want to run characters that cause these elemental reactions with someone using Hydro, Pyro, and Cryo. Overloaded happens when Electro meets Pyro and they create an AoE explosion. Superconduct happens when Electro meets Cryo, dealing AoE cryo damage and decreases physical resistance for opponents. Electro Charged happens when Electro meets Hydro and deals damage over time. What all of this means is that Lisa can work well with just about any other character, especially because of her elemental burst, Lightning Rose, which is an AoE attack that ensures every enemy in the area is going to be affected by Electro one way or another, giving you an easy route to switch to another character to affect your enemies with whatever element you choose. The 4-piece Thundering Fury set is the go-to set for Lisa, and after all the testing that I've done the last couple of days, it's probably going to be the best set for her overall. But let's check out some of the other alternatives and see what you like more. Another route to go with Lisa is 2-piece Thundering Fury with 2-piece Gambler set. The Gambler artifact set enhances the power of elemental skills, so this seemed like the best choice for my particular playstyle with Lisa. The Gambler set can be found in 2 different domains, the Clear Pool and Mountain Cavern, and the Peak of Vendagnir. The 2-piece set bonus of Gambler increases elemental skill damage by 20%, so the effects of this set are seen immediately when you use Lisa, both tap and hold, but it's in the hold version of Violet Arc where you can really see the difference in damage, especially when elemental reactions are involved.
Closer. You're in for a little shock.
If elemental skills are not your main focus with Lisa and all you use her for is electro damage with her burst, then the only way to go is 2-piece Thundering Fury with 2-piece Noblesse. The Noblesse set is a must-have set for anyone who plays Genshin Impact, so if you don't have at least 4 pieces of it, make that one of your top priorities. You get the Noblesse set from the domain Clear Pool and Mountain Cavern along with the Gambler set, so farming this domain is a check in the plus column. One thing to note here, however, if your goal is to make her burst hit harder with other bursts being active at the same time, or use her elemental skills or elemental reactions in general, it might be more useful to just go full Thundering Fury. I did a bunch of tests, literally too many to include in this video that would make any amount of sense to you, but suffice it to say that after all the testing, yes, Noblesse does help with 2-piece Thundering and with 2-piece Wandering Troop with 2-piece Noblesse, but I got the best overall result with 4-piece Thundering main. However, I will say this, since Lisa scales off of Elemental Mastery, whichever set raises her Elemental Mastery the most may show better results. Crit rate and crit damage play a part in this as well, so I can't for 100% certainty tell you that this works better than that when the game's RNG might give you god substats on a set that shows less results for me because of lesser substats. I hope that made sense. As far as teams go, the comp that seems to do the best to me is Razor Ganyu Bennett. This is a team that centers around Razor being the main damage dealer by lowering the physical resistance of any target that comes within range. It's a burst team that is really well equipped to deal with world bosses. If healing is a problem for you, which with Bennett it shouldn't be, but if it is, sub out Ganyu for Barber or Jean. For most domains, using Sucrose, Bennett, and Xingqiu works really well too. Their elemental burst all combine to make short work of groups of enemies, using Sucrose's swirl to lower the elemental resistance of all those caught inside of her burst, while they are trapped inside of Lisa's burst, with Lisa pouring on more damage through basic attacks that are infused and enhanced by Xingqiu's Hydra Swords. Bennett is there for support, providing heals and damage boost with his elemental burst, and if you have him equipped with the full instructor set, all party members will have their elemental mastery raised by 120 when he uses his burst, so elemental reaction damage is going to be boosted through the roof. I hope this guide was helpful to you, and if it was, be sure to hit the thumbs up, and before you go, drop me a comment on teams that you like to use with Lisa. Thank you so much for watching, and check out one of these other great Genshin Impact video guides.